Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. Got a video today from Man Reacts. Another female girl boss CEO puts the entire company at risk. Thank you below. Really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. It's chow time.
Female girl boss CEO puts entire company at risk.
As I always talk about the demonization of, women who choose to stay at home, the demonization of housewives, the demonization of women who make a different choice than what is considered the acceptable choice of the modern feminist movement. And not every woman is going to want to be that CEO or enter the workforce. Some of them want to devote themselves to being a wife and being a mom. Why do we have to disparage them because they're making a different choice than what a lot of women make in this day and age? Why? Why can't we just fight that reflex? Because we all have it, right? I mean, Rollo Tomasi says
I think women want to be all together. It's hard for women to be separated. If there's women with different sections of thought processes, it really affects women. So they really have to have a collective mind in a lot of things. At least that's how I feel about it. Once something gets put out there, a lot of them really gravitates towards it once enough of it comes out. And there's not enough of them to even say, maybe not me. They were like, oh, it may not be me, but everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it too.
we're all kind of raised in the feminist age, and hence we kind of have a little bit of that lens.
Yes.
I believe that he's right on that in many respects, because I even have to check myself sometimes, because it's almost like you're programmed to react a certain way, and it just starts coming out of your mouth, and you're like, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. You really have to kind of deprogram all of that stuff and look at stuff for what it actually is.
We live in a world where women are demonized and targeted for wanting to be housewives and raise their families. Instead, the media and popular culture will have you believe that being at home in comfort, raising children, caring for their families, and being okay with the husband leading the family is oppression. But then, we have girl boss women CEOs who are ruining companies. An iconic American eatery stock has plummeted in recent weeks after the company's CEO said the restaurant is no longer relevant. Cracker Barrel, the Southern country-themed restaurant with...
I actually like the Cracker Barrel. It's actually very cheap to eat there. They opened one close to my house when I used to live back in, somewhere else. And I ate there quite a few times. Very enjoyable food, very, nice people working there.
662 locations across the nation has been diminishing in popularity over the past decade, with its loyal clientele of elderly people failing to return after the pandemic.
I mean, that makes sense.
The business tanked even more when its chief executive, Julie Fels-Massino, told investors, "We're just not as relevant as we once were." Since the call, the 54-year-old company's shares fell by nearly 20%. On Thursday, Cracker Barrel traded as low as $45.35, a 52-week low that marked its lowest level in over a decade. Here's an anecdote of a person from Canada who saw how women in the corporate world ruin companies from within. "My last corporate job had a woman GM. She was given the job to fill the female leader illusion, which is a must in Canada. Meanwhile, all the men in the background were keeping the company running. She just took the credit. She was an arrogant, backstabbing feminist bully who wore a t-shirt and tight jeans in a business attire environment. Her bad decisions and leadership took her 2 years to run the company into the ground. She was also under investigation by the National HR Department because her pattern showed she got off on firing men for little things to soothe her ego. She ended up jumping ship and moved back to the US, never to be seen again. The damage she caused wasn't repairable, and the company doesn't exist today."
Shit.
Here's an example of a construction company ruined by another female. "I worked for a company like this. It was a construction company. The owner retired and gave it to his gay daughter to run. She hired a lesbian woman with a gay son and put him in charge as well. They started hiring all of their friends and people aligned with DEI. They created an HR office run by an autistic feminist woman.
Wow.
Soon, everything came to a halt. Suppliers pulled out because they were not paid on time. Architects did not answer RFIs because no one at the office could understand. Prints were outdated and never updated. Clients started noticing the lack of manpower and adherence to scheduling. The normal people left very fast, and the ones staying were too young, too gay, too many women without experience, and also a bunch of token races unable to do the work. They are now facing major lawsuits and liquidation damages, as well as lawsuits for defamation for each one of us who left and had our names tarnished. Never give in, fight back, and do not help this person." Here's a story from a guy who witnessed an unqualified
I get stories from you guys down below. Maybe I should start collecting them up and sharing them out.
woman taking over a job he was better suited for. A few years ago, a former colleague of mine asked for my resume because the company he was at needed someone with my skills and experience. And he, knowing what I could do, recommended me. A few months passed by, and I thought someone better might have taken the place. He eventually called me and apologized for not getting me that job. I told him not to worry since these things happen, but out of curiosity, I asked him who did they picked. He said they gave the job to a young woman. When I asked about her skill, he said that she had none. The boss picked her up because she had big hooters. I didn't bother to ask how things were at the business, since the stress in his voice was answered enough.
Modern woman and like a lot of the feminist indoctrination, brainwashing, and American women with these like massive insecurity things. She's just saying like, well, I don't want men to be the leader. That's basically what she's saying. She's like, I don't want men to be the leader. I don't like women can be leader too. Not even women can be leaders too, but she's saying like women can be better leaders in certain situations.
Yep.
Companies are now regretting promoting women to leadership positions because they had to fill gender quotas and make their board of directors happy. What else can you expect besides absolute incompetence from such a person? Another has an associate's degree in graphic design and heads the program analysis division. What happened to employing people based on qualifications? Right. The sad part is that these incompetent women are usually the ones who make the workplace miserable.
Went out of his way.
It's not even just incompetent women, just women in general make the workplace miserable.
To make the workforce within that company 50-50 as much as he could in terms of men and women being represented. So we're talking about engineers, we're talking about tradespeople, we're talking about in workshops, we're talking at the managerial level.
If you hire 50% women engineers and 50% male engineers, then the women engineers are less qualified because the pool of engineers is lower among women. So you can't hire 50% women engineers without producing a decrement in the quality of the engineers, because this selection pool is too small. You can't do that on a large scale. You might be able to do that in one company. Look, you think about it mathematically. If there's 10 times as many male engineers as there are female engineers, and you insist upon hiring 50-50, then obviously the degree to which the female engineers are proficient cannot be the same as the degree to which the male engineers are proficient. It's mathematically impossible.
So you're saying don't even try?
No, I'm saying something much more specific than that.
Here's food for
hire
thought.
People that qualify.
Laws, policies, regulations, and all those other driving factors that push for hiring quotas for women in those leadership positions are now null and void. If someone pushes back on that, ask them to define what a woman is and watch them fall apart. At the time a hire decision is being made, and someone's told they have to hire a woman to fill quotas, simply state, I identify as a woman, and that makes that issue disappear. That means businesses can just hire who's best for that position, and quotas are no longer an issue.
That is true, isn't it?
When a woman says that you're controlling, toxic, insecure for not wanting your girl to go party 4 or 5 nights a week and get drunk and put herself in these sorts of situations, that's basically essentially just shaming language. You're trying to shame men out of using our masculine instincts to keep her out of positions that put the relationship at risk. There's absolutely no reason that a man should allow his girlfriend to put the relationship at risk. And I do think it's the case that if you're going out and partying and getting drunk and being around these kinds of people in these kinds of environments, you are putting your relationship at risk.
We'd love to see whole companies where 50% or more of the employees are men, and all the men do the bare minimum work, the same as women, and when the companies try to retaliate, threaten to wage a lawsuit with all the men and the people waging it for gender discrimination. The reality is that you can't please those who can't be pleased, no matter how much effort you invest.
Women.
This phrase reflects the idea that some individuals or situations are inherently difficult to satisfy or appease. They say, if you want work to get done, you hire men. If you want headaches, you hire women. In my experience, women have always brought nothing but drama and gossip to the workplace. When a boss tells a male employee to do something, he does it. When a boss tells a female employee to do something, she argues with him and needs to make her opinion known. Don't you love how women can apparently do everything a man can do, but at the same time need gender quotas to help them do what men do without help? Gender quotas and diversity hiring should be made illegal. It is pure discrimination.
It is.
The only parameter that counts is...
This is part that's so weird to me. Even I get some, people in the black community always talking about gender quota, how it helped out and all this. No, it didn't. It made you look like you're weaker than them. It's saying that, oh, since you don't qualify, we made a rule and a law to say you have to be hired now. How does that make you feel as a person? Like you didn't get the job because you qualified or you're a good person or you're good for the fit. No, you got the job because people were crying about it and they made a law so you can get the job. That doesn't make me feel any better if I was a minority getting a job.
How talented and skilled a person is, how good his or her portfolio is, how much experience does that person have. The fact is, the most dangerous people in an office right now are young women. If they decide they don't like your face, you're out. And sometimes they just don't like your face because you don't like theirs, or refuse to submit to them, or to do extra chores for them. It doesn't matter. If they are half as skilled as you or half your age, HR and management will always play along, like in a nightmare. Just stay away from women in the office completely. It's the only way to be sure to keep your job. And even then, every new girl they hire is another person who can get you fired at any time. If you look at the backgrounds of some of these women, you'd shake your head too. Imagine someone with a political science degree and experience as a paralegal and swim coach being the head of the budget management division. Women are also fixated on socializing at the office and making sure that everyone is involved.
I hate that shit. I really do. I used to work in a corporate office. Women, and I didn't go to the office that often because I worked at home majority of the time. I went to the office like 2 days a week, but the days I was in the office, I hardly got any work done because everybody was just conversating the whole time. When I'm at home, I'm in front of the screen, I just get my shit done. But women, like men in the workplace, we're just shut the fuck up. Well, maybe we'll make some odd jokes here and there, but women really want to have conversations. They want to know about your day. They want to know about all these other things. It's like, calm the fuck down. We're just here to work.
Even if they don't want to, and even if they're not the type of people who would prioritize socializing over work. This socializing stuff is really an issue with female coworkers. It seems to be the main focus at work, and everything else has to take a back seat. And they get highly irritated if you show no interest in socializing with them, in what they have to say, and complain about a lack of empathy if you show no care for whatever stuff they
Women love chisme. Gossip. They love it.
Complain about. Imagine sitting in your office and getting called by human resources. You put that file down, get up, and go sit down with the HR manager who tells you that there's been a complaint against you by your female coworker. A female coworker who's asked you out 4 times and has constantly been rejected. And now you're being told you're not going to get that bonus. And if there's one more complaint against you, you'll be terminated without even receiving your benefits.
Oof.
Welcome to 2023. Do you ever feel that women tend to take advantage of this and think they can flirt around in the office and then escalate it up to HR if there's even the slightest inconvenience? Or the attractive guy who was supposed to flirt back didn't, and the ugly one did? The reality is that men are avoiding women at work simply because they are worried about women making unfounded charges or threats. The reality is that men would rather work more freely with other men. This only demonstrates how increasingly wary males have become of women throughout time, especially in the last 10 years, and how much they would prefer to communicate and work with other guys.
Shout outs to Man React. No, I get comments from you guys all the time in these types of videos of just your company's only hiring men. You guys don't even hire women anymore. There's a lot of construction / blue collar companies now that literally don't hire any women. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And I catch you next time. Ciao.